Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different band, different artist, and we break down one of the records. We get into the music, lyrics, how it was made, album artwork, and everything in between. My name is Tyler, and way out there, hundreds of miles away, is Jeff. While you're listening, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. And that's all I have for the boring intro. So this week we are in punk. We're still in punk season. I don't know how much longer we're going to be in punk season for. We're having such a good time, or we think we're having a good time. So what are we doing this week, Jeff? Go.
Like the telltale heart.
You do this every episode. Every time I finish my intro, you just start talking about something almost nonsensical that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
For what had I to fear?
Okay.
We're doing the Ramones. The Ramones. The first, who gives a fuck? We're just doing the Ramones. It sucks. Yeah. Let's get it over. Let's bring on the hate, baby. Let's bring on the hate train.
Yes, their first record from 1976. This is they're the big three of punk: Ramones, Sex Pistols, The Clash. Everybody fights. Not everybody, but a lot of people fight. Who's the best of the three? And honestly, they are maybe the worst at this point now. I guess we could talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later.
I don't know.
Because we got to have something to talk about, because this record, clocking in at 29 minutes and 16 seconds, there may not be a lot to talk about. So let's get into our origin story with the Ramones, and then we'll get into first impressions and so on and so forth. So what is your origin story? Go.
I think the first song that I actually enjoyed by the Ramones is probably "I Want to Be Sedated" at some point in my life. That's just my earliest memory. I've always kind of known about them, but I've never cared. And I think at some point I got the CD of their Ramones Mania, the greatest hits.
Yeah. And
even then I was like, dude, this is dumb. I don't like these songs. And so I just didn't really care. Fucking fast forward decades. And then when we started collecting the vinyls, I guess a family friend, he had given me all of his stuff, and the two biggest things that were in there was the Ramones and the Grateful Dead. And I was like, oh fuck, cool, like this, I can get into vinyl like this. I can get into it and see what I like.
Wasn't also Elvis Costello? Wasn't there a lot of?
Oh yeah, you're right. There was Elvis Costello. There was like fucking a full run of Elvis Costello, Ramones, Grateful Dead, and the Elvis Costello stuff I enjoyed more than the Ramones. I will say that. Not much, but a little bit more than Ramones. The Ramones stuff, I did not like at all, and the Grateful Dead stuff, obviously, I got really heavily into that. But I don't have much history. Even like people that I went to camp with, and nobody really liked the Ramones. Nobody hated the Ramones. Nobody played the Ramones. Nobody talked about the Ramones. The Ramones have just been a band that like exists in the sphere of just like punk rock greats because they were like the first, and that's fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm. But I have other thoughts on that we'll get into more outside of the first impressions. But go ahead.
Yeah, first impression with me, I don't remember the first song I heard. It had to have been either Blitzkrieg Bop or I Want to Be Sedated. Arguably their two biggest songs, and arguably the two biggest songs in punk music that everybody universally knows. Like they know that over God Save the Queen or Anarchy in the US or Anarchy in the UK, or even actually, maybe Should I Stay or Should I Go might be a bigger song than
Rock the Casbah. No, they're not bigger than Blitzkrieg Bop. No, fuck.
You don't think so?
Blitzkrieg is the base of the big three.
Should I Stay or Should I Go though? That's a pretty
over Blitzkrieg. Nah. Just the AO alone is bigger than everything that the Clash and Sex Pistols have ever done.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it might not be fair to compare like Rock the Casbah and Should I Stay or Should I Go, because those came out couple years after this record. They were on some of the later records from the Clash.
There would be a Clash or Sex Pistols.
Well, okay, settle down, because that's not true.
Insane. Just call them a
See, now you're just trying to be dumb and annoy me. So yeah,
what?
There'd be no Clash without Ramones or Sex Pistols. Come on, get the fuck out of here. What the Clash we're doing, we're like miles and miles ahead of both of those bands. Like the Clash just sit on a different level than Sex Pistols.
They're
and
better.
Ramones.
They're better entirely.
In every way, yeah.
Absolutely.
Cooler aesthetics, better music, better songwriting.
Absolutely.
I mean, in every sense, the Clash are better.
Yes, correct. In every way, shape, or form. But the Clash, like seeing this like band from fucking Queens playing in like mid 70s. Like, oh damn, that's pretty cool what they did actually. Let's do it better. Yes. And then the Clash did it better. So yeah, I still I stand by it. There would be no Clash as we know them without the Ramones.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we're doing the Ramones. Let's get into our first impressions of this record this week. And let's just kind of talk about like, how the week went, because we listened to all 14 of their records. I mean, if you haven't listened to the album rankings yet, let's summarize what we talked about there, and then kind of really dive into our first impressions of Ramones. Just the songs in general, I guess. So what do you got?
Yeah, I literally don't want to rehash anything about the rankings.
Well, that's why I said just summarize it.
It's all bad. Some of it is okay, but it's pretty much all dumb, dude. Like, it's just the Ramones only needed to do one record, and I respect the Ramones, but I don't like them. That's that's probably the perfect way to put it. I respect the Ramones because yes, they were like the first to do like the punk rock thing. There were other bands that were doing punk music, but like the Ramones, their aesthetic, everything about them was very, very punk rock. Their attitude was very, very punk rock, and they were the first ones to do it. And I respect that, but I still don't like it. It's still stupid. It's still a band that grew up again listening to like Ricky Nelson and was like, hey, we could do that. Just let's make it a little bit edgier, and let's dress all fucking stupid. Let's dress like fucking models, because that's all they did, was just dress as models. Even Dee Dee fucking ended up loathing the aesthetic of the Ramones because it was so stupid.
The jeans, leather jackets.
It was a shtick. It was a shtick.
Yeah, just much like Sex Pistols were too.
But it wasn't a shtick that was like imparted onto them. It was a shtick that they kind of like came up with themselves. And they're like, I don't give a fuck. We'll fucking wear these jackets and cool jeans and do this. It was kind of like something they stumbled upon themselves. So I do respect that. But like, man, this band's stupid. Like, they're not punk in any way, shape, or form. Like, the Sex Pistols are exponentially more punk in their aesthetic than the Ramones have ever been. Sex Pistols are the fucking worst when it comes to music. Absolute atrocious. Yeah. Absolute fucking worst.
I agree.
But at least like this, the Sex Pistols were punk. Like, they embodied the punk like mindset, and the overall motif of being a punker was Sex Pistols. The Ramones, they just, they gave everybody a platform, and it was cool. And it's like, hey man, thank you for doing that. Now you need to step aside. So had the Ramones only made their one record, I think at least for me, I think like maybe I would probably like it a little bit more if you only made one. If you only did one and you were done and you went off to do other things and became an iron worker or fucking a politician, whatever the fuck you did, I think I would like their first record more than the fact that they just, man, they bled that aesthetic dry. Oof.
Yeah.
They beat really that horse to death 3, 4, 5 times.
And all they were chasing was like, they were chasing like pop stardom their whole career, after this record. And it's like reading a little bit.
Second record they wanted it. They're all pissed off about it.
Well, it's like when before they made this record, they were doing something kind of different. They were doing something that was kind of their own in New York at the time. And then like some people like Linda Stein and her husband, I forgot her husband's name, but they really kind of latched themselves onto the Ramones and said, you guys are going to be the next big thing. We're going to promote the hell out of you. We're going to do this and that. And they were like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And it just kind of seemed like they were kind of forced into this position that they were put in. And then, it's something with this record, they didn't even become popular. They were just they were influential, but it wasn't to the extreme like it was in the 90s to now. You know what I mean? It's just like they were kind of thrown into this unknowingly and just didn't really care too much. And then when they got some recognition, then they just wanted to become a pure pop act, and it just didn't work out. And then they just were constantly chasing that for their entire career, and they fucking hated each other the entire time. They just hated each other, all 4 of them, or more than 4 of them, because the revolving door of certain band members. But yeah,
they're all crazy, unlikable people.
They really are. They really
Dee Dee
are.
And Joey, or Dee Dee and Johnny were so fucking unlikable. Dee Dee was also very, very unlikable.
Yeah, he was.
And there was like a thing in like Genius Lyrics where he talked about how he found like a Nazi sword, a Luftwaffe sword, and he complained that his dad at the time because they were stationed over in Berlin, and he was just an army brat. And so he talked about like how his dad saw him bring home this Luftwaffe sword. And he's like, "Do you fucking understand like how many like of our men that thing has probably killed?" And he's like, at that point, I never respected my dad again. Like, are you stupid, bro?
I know.
Like, why are you dumb? And then just reading like, because I actually went to that Spin article that thing was from and read the whole interview, and it's like the entire interview. You're just a dick, dude. You're an unlikable prick, and I fucking hate you.
Yeah.
You're the worst.
Johnny's much the same. I on the rankings episode just prior to this, I just railed on Johnny. I think Johnny Ramone is the worst part about this entire band throughout their entire career. Johnny is the worst part of it. Yeah, he's the business aspect of it, but he made a lot of bad business decisions. I mean, we talked about it straight up in the early 90s. They should have signed with Epitaph. Like Brett Gurewitz from Bad Religion straight up said, "We want you on here. I'm going to promote the hell out of you. I'm going to throw you with all these other bands, these up and coming bands that are blowing up. You're already opening up for other bands. You're already not like you're not on top of the world. Like you're still opening up for other shitty bands. I'm going to put you with bands that are like The Offspring, Green Day, that are blowing up right now." But he's like, fuck you. What the fuck do you know? Blah, 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 blah.
That's 20 years too late, though. It's
15.
Again,
years,
they were like
to be more fair. 15 years.
They were 25 when their first record dropped. They were 25 already. These are like 16-year-olds fumbling their way through what's going on here. They're 25 when their first record dropped. So they're 45 by the time like Brett almost wants to get a hold of them and make them stars. Like, no, dude, too too late.
Epitaph started late 80s. It's not like Epitaph was around in 1976, 77. It started much later. So I get where Brett's coming from, and also Johnny's a dick. So fuck him. I mean, I get it. He's dead. He can't defend himself. But
so you hate Johnny with like a passion. I hate Dee Dee with a passion.
I mean, Dee Dee was terrible. But
I think Dee Dee's a bad person in his heart. I think Johnny's just a fucking dick and he makes bad decisions. I think Dee Dee's a douchebag in his heart.
You're right. Yeah, Dee Dee is like straight up just a bad person. Like his character is just bad. Johnny just makes really bad decisions and is extremely selfish. And he doesn't, at least with Dee Dee wrote a lot of music. Like he wrote a lot of music. He sang stuff. Johnny pretty much did nothing. Like he has some
he did do nothing.
He has some songwriting credits, especially in the early like first three records, maybe 4 records. But after that, dude, Johnny did nothing. All he did was bitch about it. Everybody else in the band, he bitched about the direction they were going in. About literally everything. So Johnny sucks. Dee Dee sucks too, but Johnny does suck. Joey, I feel a little bit bad for Johnny. Was kind of a dumbass too, but I feel kind of bad for him because like he had a lot of issues.
Joey?
Yeah, Joey. Like he had a lot of like physical issues. Like he had like Marfan syndrome, which is like crazy. I didn't know until this week that he had Marfan syndrome.
I didn't know that either.
And then also, he had schizophrenia. He had like other mental disorders, and then throwing the alcohol on top of it just exacerbated it. And then the fact that fucking the girl that Joey was with, that he was so in love with, she left Joey to be with Johnny, eventually married Johnny, and Joey and Johnny's relationship never recovered. Like the rumor is they never spoke with each other after that happened. I mean, immature on both ends for sure. But the fact that Johnny,
you can't it's a weird thing right there too, because I mean that's just like no 101 right in a band, and any friendship circles is just like, come on, dude, you just don't fucking do that. But also you can't like help who you love and who you want to be with, and it's just like, dude. But a bunch of fucking dickheads. And again, like if these guys drop Ramones and they're all like 18, 19, 20 tops, fine, I get it. But not fucking 25, bro. Like,
I know.
Not 25. No.
Grown-ass men.
No.
Grown-ass men. Fully seasoned grown-ass men.
Fully seasoned grown-ass men. Yeah.
That's really what they are. They've already done a lot in life at this point.
Yeah, and this isn't the 50s. This is the 70s, right? So like things
late 70s.
Yeah, it's almost the fucking 80s, man. Yeah. Like things are it's not that far removed from like when we grew up, right? So like them growing up is not that far removed from when we grew up, as opposed to if it would be like the 60s in America. The 60s in America was vastly different from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. Not that much different from each other, like growing up wise. Like laws and things you could do, and hitchhiking, like reading like Dee Dee's stories about how he hitchhiked to fucking like San Diego and found this weird like cult biker group, and they robbed like a fucking quickie mart, and he went to prison and asked his dad to bail him out, and his dad's like, "Oh, fuck you, rot in there, asshole." And it's like, well, because you were an asshole, you were a fucking dickhead, and your parents hated you because you were a fucking douchebag. And like he got really into like the Nazi artifact thing, and not in a way like, because like we just had a whole conversation about World War II, but like not in a way like most people are fascinated by World War II because of the last Great War thing, and like this is good versus evil, and Hitler's like the fucking Palpatine of the earth, and you know, stop him. But it almost seemed like Dee Dee was infatuated with like Nazi things in a way that was a little sus.
It was
a little too weird. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I don't know. A little weird.
I agree.
I hate that guy. I don't like him. I don't like him.
Can't stand him.
I'm not going to say anything mean. Okay? Because he can't defend himself.
That's
I don't
true.
like him.
Most like half the guy, or most of the guys in the Ramones are dead. I think the only surviving members are Marky, CJ, and then Elvis, which Elvis only played 2 shows with the band. So was he really in the band? I don't know. Stupid. But God, the history of this band, it's crazy like how little they did, but how much is written about them, because they're all assholes. They're all assholes to each other and to the people around them. Like this, I mean, I never realized the history of the Ramones until this week, and just how little the band had to offer. Like once again, going back to the Ramones, very highly influential. Like most bands will cite them as like, this is why I started playing guitar. This is why I started playing music, because of the birth of punk. I get it. Whatever they were doing, like you said earlier in the week, the Ramones are doing Beatles music, but with distortion, with guitar, with like distorted guitars. That's what the Ramones are. The Beatles with distorted guitars.
That's
but
like
not nearly as good.
What they wanted to do.
But like not nearly as good. Like there's no McCartney, Lennon. There's no, not even close. Not even close. But like, they're trying to be that, but with distorted guitars, playing power chords and bar chords. That's what they're doing. That's really the Ramones.
It's just like dumb fucking boardwalk music, and I like boardwalk music because, you know, from Southern California, so like boardwalk music, and I listened to a Knott's Berry Farm. I worked there for months and months, was fine, but like they're just doing boardwalk music, and they're doing it in a shitty way, and it's, you know what's crazy too is like I never liked the New York Dolls, like I just never really cared. It's never dumb all around. Yeah. But damn, dude, that first record was like 5 years prior to this record. And it's more punk than this shit. And the New York Dolls is so much better than the fucking Ramones.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this on other episodes too. It's like, yeah, you have the big 3, Ramones, Clash, and Sex Pistols, but there were so many bands doing this prior to them. I mean, like you said, New York Dolls, that first record, I agree with you. It's way more punk than this.
It was like 72, 73.
The Death record predates this like by 2 years. The Stooges records, I mean, those are straight up fucking punk records, man. And then obviously MC5 in 1969. But
you do kind of get into this thing where it's like it's like the MC5 thing. It's not like punk rock, right? It's a little kind of like that thing they call proto punk, and it's a little bit different. But dude, that New York Dolls record, like, revisit that one. If anybody's listening,
been a long time, since I've heard it.
It is a better Ramones. There's some songs on that record that are fucking dumb and just like, ugh, dude, stay in the early 70s, please. But then the other half of that record is like, dude, this is better Ramones. But they just, you know, their aesthetic wasn't cool and rugged and tough and leather jackets.
I think
and
what
jeans,
it was
man.
I think with the Ramones, what it was that it was their aesthetic, the fact that they played CBGBs. I mean, at the time, CBGBs was nothing. It was like a fucking hole in the wall. Literally, it was. I mean. Unfortunately I never got to go there and see a band play. But you know, it was literally a fucking hole in the wall. It was trash. But they played there like for half the year, like over 100 days a year they played at CBGB's. So like they became like it was like their residency at CBGB's. You know, so they were synonymous with that club. And then as you know, that notoriety built over the decades, you know, everybody associates CBGB's with Ramones because of that. Because like the first 3 years of their career, they played almost all of their shows at CBGB's.
And that's exactly that. That's a good point, because CBGB's opened like early to mid 70s.
Yeah. And
the Ramones started playing music in like essentially
around that time.
74 or 73 ish.
Roughly.
And so like they're playing CBGBs when CBGBs is first opening, but as CBGBs has been open for a while, late in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, and now becomes this thing like, oh damn, this is where the Ramones played. And like, but like, have you guys really listened to the Ramones?
Yeah.
Are we all, you know what I mean? Like
that's what
it's one of those things where it's just like this lore just builds and builds and builds, but nobody really wants to talk about how fucking dumb this band is.
I think it's the same with the Sex Pistols too. It's like, yeah, you know, God Save the Queen, and you know, Anarchy in the UK.
At least they had one record though, right?
Yeah, they only had just the one
pretend for that long. We only had to pretend for like a couple of years,
for like a year and a half, like if that, a year and a half.
But like, come on, dude. Compared to the Ramones, dude, the Sex Pistols were fucking so fucking punk.
I mean,
like, they're the way they carried themselves.
And honestly,
like Sid Vicious, punk as fuck compared to fucking anybody in the Ramones.
Sid Vicious is so. I mean, I've talked about it so much, but Sid Vicious is the worst. Out of all the guys in these three punk bands, Sid Vicious was the worst. He was so dumb, just zero talent, like just an absolute
dude,
and just
right?
an
That's
absolute,
the punk aesthetic.
An absolute.
I just want to
be
in a band.
An absolute.
I just want to be in a band.
That's what he did. They literally would not turn his amp on because he could not play the songs. Like he was so bad. He was such a piece of shit. Fuck Sid Vicious.
It's funny because like the way he practiced was he listened to Ramone songs and he wanted to play along to Ramone songs.
I wonder why. It's 3 fucking chords. It's the easiest fucking songs to learn.
Well, he couldn't even do that though. Couldn't even do that. But like really, like Sid Vicious embodies like the punk aesthetic. I don't give a fuck how I sound. And everybody loves the Germs for this. Everybody loves fucking what they did with their sound.
The Germs
like,
too, man.
But yeah,
Darby
like
Crash.
Sid Vicious embodies that
off.
kind of like punk aesthetic. It's just, I want to be in a band and I don't give a fuck how I sound. Here it is. Here I am.
Yes.
I am woman. Hear me roar.
God damn. That was, we get so passionate about this bullshit era of punk music. And we love punk. Like that I feel like punk music is like the one thing that we've always gone back to. I mean, yeah, our favorite bands aren't punk bands. Like Weezer aren't a punk band. Korn's not a punk band. But we always kind of like the common denominator between us and just music in general is punk music. Like we're always going to go back to it no matter what.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, like you and I just cannot, I mean, at least, and for me, I just don't get Ramones. I don't get the Sex Pistols. I think it's just so stupid. Here's where I'm gonna come in, and because I mean, like, dude, we've never liked this fucking band. Like, no,
dude,
never.
Let's be honest, we've never liked this band since high school. We've talked shit on at least the Ramones and the Sex Pistols. We never really got into the Clash all that much.
I liked the Clash growing up, but I mean, it wasn't until 3 years ago or whatever it was when we did the Clash. We did that really deep dive in the Clash where I'm like, damn, dude,
that's why I respected the Clash and love the Clash. I've never hated them. I've liked the 4 songs that I knew, but like when we did them on the pod, is when I was like, oh fuck, this band is exponentially better than I thought that they were.
Leaps and bounds.
But here's the people that really enjoy the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, right? Actually, for sure the Ramones are people like I don't want to call him out by name because he owns a local record store here. He's like 65. He helped us open. Nice guy. Yep. But he grew up with parents that listened to like 50s music, right? A lot of like that kind of era boardwalk shit. So that's what he grew up listening to. And so when he heard the Ramones, he's like, oh, this is like my parents' music, but like as a subconscious thing. Mm-hmm. But oh, dude, it's like punk and it's fucking different. It's not my punk. It's not my parents' music. This is my music. It's like, bitch, that's the same fucking music. The exact same melodies, exact same hooks as everyone else has been doing all throughout the 50s. It's just now they have a little bit crunchy guitars, and now you think it's yours. It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. You got duped. People were duped. And because of people like him, they open record stores, right? They have a little bit of money. So now they're influencing like the younger generation of punkers to be, and they're kind of being a little gatekeeping, saying, well, you're not the Ramones. You're not the Ramones. It's like, dude, that's why this thing like just snowballed. Because who do you look up to like as a kid? And we grew up like going to like Warehouse and shit. But who do people in the 80s go to? They went to record stores.
Yeah.
They went to record stores that selling tapes. And the people that are doing the record stores, that own the record stores, were the ones that I'm talking about. Like this guy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. People like him. Like that's the exact age range. And he fucking thinks that the Ramones and Sex Pistols are God's gift to earth.
Yeah. And he's a nice guy. Like we're not talking shit on him. We're just talking about it.
I'm just talking shit on his musical taste.
Yeah, his music, because I mean, I like his record store a lot, and he's a really nice guy. He's a really cool guy.
Very nice guy.
But you know,
helped us open our store. Very nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy. But Yeah,
damn,
just Ramones just suck.
that's the
but
guy.
Once again,
That's the type of guy.
It's nostalgia. It's nostalgia, and then also when you throw in like the emblems, the artwork and things like that, like the what is it, the crest, the Ramones crest, the circle, and all that kind of shit. Like it's iconic because so many people just adopted that and put those patches on their jackets or their vests. Like that was the punk thing. Like you had a jacket or a vest and you put all your favorite bands on it, and Ramones were always the biggest. They had that big round crest. You put it right in the center of the back of your jacket or vest, and then you put everything around it, the Addicts, fucking Sex Pistols, whatever, whoever, you know what I mean? Motorhead, because Motorhead were the only band to actually cross over between punk and metal. It's like, that's just what it was. Ramones was always like dead center on the back of your vest or jacket.
There is something to be said about the marketing for the Ramones.
Mm-hmm.
And that's wild to begin with, because again, like we're stumbling onto a brand from day one, right? Like all these guys wanted was like just popularity in the realm of like pop music, and they wanted to sell millions of copies, but they didn't realize that their brand is worth more than their music. Yeah. And like how they just like turn their fucking brain off and then focus on their brand, man, they could have sold so much, because now Target's making all the money. Now Walmart's making all the money. And these guys didn't make anything. And they should have stopped. And they should have continued writing their shitty fucking 3-chord, 2-minute songs, but they should have focused on that fucking brand.
Yeah. Much like Sex Pistols did. Steve Jones did. John Lydon did. They really focused on the brand. That's why they never put out any proper music after the first Sex Pistols record. They focused on the brand for decades now. I mean, that's literally what they've done. And also, okay, it's like going to the big three of these bands. God, we haven't even gotten into this Ramones record really at all yet.
We don't fucking need to. Fuck it.
I know. But what I find, because we talked about it a little bit on the Clash episode when we did it a couple years ago, but all the big three bands, they all came from like semi-affluent families or neighborhoods or communities. It's like the Sex Pistols, I think it was Joe Strummer's like dad was like in Parliament, like in the Parliament or something like that in England. I think John Lydon, he had some sort of connection to like higher society and all that kind of shit. Like they were all kind of connected. And then when you look at the Ramones, like most of these guys outside of, I think, Tommy, the drummer, the other three, they were all like in this like not affluent neighborhood, but they were all like middle to upper middle class families. Like none of them were like these poor down and out kids, this and that. Like they kind of like
Dee.
Oh yeah, except Dee Dee. But you know what I mean? It's like none of them came from like just like poverty, or like they had nothing to really complain about, or you know what I mean? It's like you get the big three, but they all come from something a little bit more than themselves. Not given something, but more opportunity, more just kind of, they didn't have to maybe work as hard as other people. Like when you look at like Misfits, yeah, they're a bunch of dorks, they're a bunch of nerds, Skip. But they came from like fucking hardworking New Jersey families. Like they just did not give a fuck.
But they're from New Jersey though. Who gives a fuck?
But what I'm saying is like
a better example. I get what you're saying. A better example would have been Bad Brains.
Well, of course, yeah. Like especially considering
punk band just full of black guys.
Yeah,
like,
no, exactly.
Where are you gonna go?
But I know, but I'm just kind of like going off what we did last week with Misfits, or 2 weeks ago now. But I mean, they all kind of came from something a little bit less. They had something more to prove, but they were never as successful. And why weren't they as successful? Like Misfits, Bad Brains, stuff like that. Why weren't they as successful? Black Flag.
Same thing with Misfits. Misfits because they didn't. I mean, the music's exponential. I'm ready to fucking talk about the music, but
it's so much better.
Just being mad. But like I Misfits is because they fucked up the brand. You fucked up your brand, bro. The Ramones fucked everything up. They fucked up your brand. They fucked up the members. They fucked up the music. They fucked everything. And that's crazy, because the Ramones, man, they all could have died like multi-millionaires. They could have died so fucking wealthy, but they died assholes. And
which is also crazy to think about too, because all they were doing, they were striving for success. They were striving to sell records and make money. That like you read anything about all of their records are like, well, we want to go back. Well, we want to make something that's going to appeal to the masses. It's going to sell us a bunch of records. Well, maybe that didn't work. Let's go back to what we used to do on the first two records. That didn't work. Well, let's do more pop. Let's go back and forth. They're constantly flip-flopping.
God, they tried so hard.
They tried so fucking hard.
But all they had to do was just fucking build on their brand.
Yeah.
Like that's.
But everybody else built on the brand. See, that's the craziest thing. That's where it kind of made me think, like with Johnny, because Johnny was like he was weirdly like connected to some of the management, and the management was saying, no, you got to stick with me. You got to do this, this, and that. And he only trusted very, very specific people. And it's like I said earlier, Brett Gurewitz came in and said, dude, this is what we're going to do. You're going to make so much money. This is going to be so much bigger. You guys are handing the torch off to the next generation of punk bands. And he's like, no, this is what my manager said. I've been doing this for 20 years. Fuck you. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You're a piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck Johnny. He's a terrible person. Fuck Johnny.
You. I won't do what you tell me.
Also, okay, another thing that actually really kind of pissed me off, and it didn't piss me off, but it was really annoying, and maybe dislike Johnny and his whole estate even more. So if you go to Hollywood Forever Cemetery, have you ever been to Hollywood Forever?
Never.
Okay, so it's actually the cemetery is enormous, but a lot of famous people, celebrities, musicians are buried there. And I went there maybe in like 2010. I went there and I saw Johnny's memorial, his grave site there. I took a picture in front of it, just because like it's a pretty big, like it's a giant statue of Johnny Ramone. I'm like, why the fuck not? I'm here. So I took a picture in front of it, and then I was reading today or this week that Johnny's not even buried there.
Yeah.
His wife, I think his wife's name is Linda. He was cremated, and she has all of the ashes. So what you see at Hollywood Forever Cemetery is literally just a monument. His body's not there. It's meaningless. It's fucking meaningless. So that's another thing too.
It's poetic.
Dude, Johnny is just, I can't stand him. I can't believe this has been such a hate-filled Ramones episode.
It really is crazy though, because like all this band really wanted was fame, was popular success, was money, was fame, was fortune. But the thing they focus on the most was the thing that will never get them that. Mm. And the thing that's lived on forever about the Ramones is everything but their music. Yeah. People, like, everybody knows their fucking songs, whatever, but
like four of their songs.
Like, it's their fucking brand, dude. Their brand is what should have made them like billions.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like, the brand should have made them so much money.
I know.
But they focus on everything else.
And when you think about it too, like even like looking like in a very contemporary sense, look at the Blink 182 video that they did for Dance With Me like a year ago. I think maybe a year and a half ago. The video for that, they were all dressed as the Ramones. Remember that shit? They dressed as the Ramones. Yeah. They recreated, I forgot what video
almost
it was.
Like shot for shot.
Like shot for shot, they recreated that Ramones video. And it's just like, this song sounds nothing like anything the Ramones would have ever done. Like, it sounds significantly better than anything the Ramones have ever done. And it's just like, it just goes to show like the brand is way more important than the actual music, because that song has no connection with the Ramones musically, but has everything to do with them aesthetically, visually, everything. Which is just, I mean, that's like you said, with the Ramones, it's all about the image and the aesthetic, and that's pretty much it. And then the 4 or 5 songs everybody knows.
That's bad, because like at some point when you're in the 80s and now you're like 35 years old and you're still wearing like your tight jeans and the the jacket, the hairline's starting to recede a little bit, like, you know what I mean? Like, not a kid no more. We weren't a fucking kid when the first record came out, so I don't know, dude.
Well, I guess this is growing up. So should we actually now get into the album? Get into some of the bangers?
I could literally just shit talk the Ramones. I do want to talk about Judy's a Punk, because I fucking love that song. But I could literally shit talk the Ramones for another hour.
I mean, I can too. So let's get into some more posy stuff here. So let's get into a couple bangers, because I do have 4 bangers, 3 bangers.
Oh.
4 bangers. 4 bangers. I got 4.
Damn.
Yeah. How many do you have? 1?
1? 1?
Oh, you're the worst. You are the worst.
There's only one song on this record that I actually truly enjoy. I playlist. It's been playlisted for many years, and I fucking love this song.
And it's Judy is a Punk.
It's by far my favorite Ramones song.
Okay, let's get into
Without a
it.
doubt.
It's my 3B. So what do you got?
Yeah, Judy's a Punk. Dude, I fucking love this song. I think the first time I heard this song is when we started collecting, and I threw this record on, and I was, dude, I hate this because Blitzkrieg Bop, and then beat on the bat with the bass bop, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is this, dude? I remember like sitting down listening, like, what the fuck is this? What is this? And then Judy, I don't know, for whatever reason, Judy's a Punky man, and I fell in love with it. Like the hand claps, second verse, send out the verse. Like I love this song, and like I also love the harms and the yeah, like all that little part too. It's just, dude, it's a perfect short punk rock song. Beautiful.
I mean, it is. It's a minute and 32 seconds long. Might be is the shortest song? I think it might be.
I think it's the shortest song on the record.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I just double checked. Shortest song on the record. Third song on the record. Also, once again, this record is very top heavy. Like most every Ramones record, you get the first 4 songs maybe that are just fucking solid, and then after that, it drops off real quick, and then it's hit or miss.
Damn. So like, if your 3 bangers are Blitzkrieg, Beat on the Brat, in no order, Judy's a Punk,
Beat on the Brat.
What is your 4th banger?
I want to sniff some glue.
I want to know. Really?
Yeah, I love that song. I've always really really liked that song. So that's actually my 2B. Isn't I want to sniff some glue.
Oh God. Here we go. We can't go one fucking episode without you saying something so fucking stupid.
It's not stupid.
That song literally sounds like fucking every other song past it.
Are you
7, 8, 9, 10, fucking 11. Let's Dance a Little Bit Different. 13, 14, the same fucking song.
Once again, we're talking about the Ramones here. Every one of their songs sounds the fucking same. You could do the first record, the second and third record. They're all pretty much the same songs. Like it's all the fucking same. But what I like about Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue is it's really there's 2 things in this song. There's the part where all the music stops and everybody sings the chorus. Like they sing the whole chorus by themselves, like a cappella. I love it. Also, the drums on this song aren't just like the it's a little bit more varied. There's some like almost halftime moments on this song too. So there's some variance on here.
Your boy's got a solo.
It's exactly. There's a small little solo, if you want to call it a solo. But yeah, it's one of the most varied songs, one of the most complex songs on the whole record. But I like really the highlight of this whole record for me is when everything stops and they just sing that chorus. I love
just
when
it's the song is even worse because it's just like 2 notes.
It is the whole song. It really
not even like a gutter mouth, like tongue in cheek, kind of like fucking annoying ass way. Just like they thought this was the bee's knees.
This is like the best thing ever.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I'm not saying it's a great song, but this is one of the coolest moments on the record. And really, the only reason why it's at number 2 is because Blitzkrieg Bop is that's number 1, and because that song is it's just too iconic. It's too big. It's too catchy. When this song comes on, you're gonna sing it. Like there's no getting around that. The hey oh let's go. You can't help it. It's one of the catchiest songs ever written, hands down.
Yeah, no, like Blitzkrieg Bop is cool. It's a good song, and it's not about like the AO part. It's about after that when you get into the verse, like like that's punk rock, dude. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking punk rock. That's like everybody that's ever started a band wants to do this song. So I get it. It's cool. I don't have any stinkers on this record, but Blitzkrieg Bop is just like, oh, it's so fucking cheesy. It's so fucking cheesy.
And it opens the whole record. And yeah, I agree with you. There are no stinkers on this record. There really are no stinkers. They're all fun. And with the album in its entirety, it's not a great record, but it's fun to listen to. Like if you're just kind of throw this on in the background, you're just kind of, I don't know, whatever you're doing, it's just kind of fun to throw on in the background. You're never gonna get bored, but you're like, okay, it's just this not monotonous thing, or it's just like,
yeah, no, it kind of is, because after fucking man, after Sniffing Glue, I'll give you that. It's the same fucking song, except for Let's Dance, which is a damn near fucking stinker. But after Glue is just it's the same fucking song, same goddamn song. So, ugh.
I know it's truly it's truly an underwhelming record, but it's just talked about so highly amongst everybody. But then it's like I've heard because I listened to that Punk Till I Die podcast, and I really do enjoy that podcast. I love Tom Trauma. Tom Trauma was the best thing to come out of the Punk News podcast, and I think Tom Trauma is so funny.
Over John Gentili?
Yeah, over John. Yeah, I mean I like John Gentili, and I really like Ricky Frankel on that podcast. But Tom Trauma to me was the best part of Punk
John,
News.
Ricky. That's it.
I love Tom Trauma and Liverpool Neil. What I like about Liverpool Neil on Punk Till I Die podcast is that he's literally from Liverpool and he hates everything that's not like 1976, 1977 punk. The only thing he likes outside of that is Morrissey and like psychobilly music. That's it.
He's such a bitch. Oh,
but I love that he sticks to it. He sticks to all of that, and he'll just like Tom will play something a little bit more metal, and Tom's like, I know you probably won't like this. There's some like heavier guitars you're not gonna like this, and he's like, yeah, that fucking sucked. I fucking love it.
Insufferable.
It's fun. It's a fun podcast if you really.
This is how you spend your fucking free time instead of like doing things that could better your life. You spend time listening to two fucking fucktards talking about shit that who gives a shit about.
Yes, I do. I enjoy. That's like one of my most listened to podcasts.
You enjoy it because you've been enjoying shit for so long. You don't know what not shit sounds like. That's why you enjoy it.
Yes,
what not shit sounds like.
I do enjoy the podcast, but anyway, but yeah, no, both of the guys. Bitch. Both of those guys love Ramones. Like they speak so highly of the Ramones.
Of course they do. Cucks.
I know if they were to ever listen to this episode, which I might throw this onto the Punk Till I Die podcast Facebook group.
Oh, dude. Good. Yeah.
They would probably talk so much shit on this.
They'd shit their pants. Like, oh, you missed the point where they fucking did this. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. Because they're old guys. They're both old guys.
And it's funny because Liverpool Neil, he saw Sex Pistols back in England back in the day.
Yeah, like probably when he was like 40 because he's so old, right?
I think he was like, I think he said he was like 17 when he saw the Sex Pistols. So he's seen the Sex Pistols, the Ramones back in the day. He's seen the Clash. He's seen like all of like the OG punk guys back in England when he was living in Liverpool. When he was in Liverpool. So I mean, I that's cool. That's really cool. The fact that he can say that he's seen all these.
Of course, it's cool. It's fucking
for better
awesome.
Or worse. It's cool as hell.
Ben still sucks, but if like sucks. Throw me back in a time machine, I'd fucking love to see these guys at CBGBs. I'd love to see the Sex Pistols throw down on a fucking boat, shitting on the Queen. Like, it'd be fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. They still suck. Yeah, the Ramones suck. I don't give a fuck how old you are. I don't give you Tom Trauma 95. How old is he? Like 100? He's got to be pushing 100 at this point.
Tom Trauma is much younger. Tom Trauma, I think he's like 50, and then I think Liverpool Neil's like 60, early 60s. So, yeah, I like Tom Trauma though. Tom Trauma's a cool guy.
It makes sense. Well, because Tom Trauma's like you, just fucking stuck in his ways and never going to change anyway. So I get that.
The worst.
Yeah,
you're the fucking
I get it.
Worst.
Makes sense.
Oh shit! All right, so tangents, baby, tangents. Well, we don't have a lot to talk about. So yeah,
these are like tangents that are specific to what we're talking about. Though we're not talking about like Ninja Turtle movie or like the election or like our shoe size. You know what I mean? Like these are tangents that are specific to what we're talking about.
It's like Skip called us out like last week. He said, "Yeah, you guys started talking about horror movies, and then you started talking about the Tent City in Arizona."
Oh yeah, Tent City.
It's like, yeah, we did, but yeah, I mean that's what happens. I mean, you can't really say much more about this record or this band that what it came down to was the aesthetic,
because that's punk music.
Style.
Punk music, in its essence, it's supposed to be bare bones. It's supposed to just be like kind of like working class rock music. It's supposed to just be like like Springsteen-esque, but just faster, more aggressive. and that's
sloppier. Certainly.
That's cool and that's fun. And Springsteen is kind of like the blue collar, higher tiered punker. And Springsteen's cool. I like Springsteen except for his music.
I like him except for his music. I agree. I have nothing bad to say about Springsteen, honestly.
He's the boss, man.
Except I don't like his music. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about him, but I don't like his music.
I don't like his fucking music.
And everybody always talks about like, oh, his album Nebraska is like so amazing. It's
oh
so
my
good.
God, dude, Nebraska.
I don't get it. I've listened to it like several times. I don't get that Springsteen record, but people like swear by it. They fucking swear by it. I just don't get it.
One of our best selling records is Born in the USA, though.
Once again,
I will say though, like Marvel did it. Marvel did it with Captain America, and there was a whole thing where it's like, this is America's ass, and it was Captain America. And even when I watched it in theaters, I was like, nah, dude, Springsteen's got that one. Does he not?
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
Like, come on, that's America's ass right there. And the jeans,
that cover,
background,
that cover is iconic.
Damn.
Yeah, the handkerchief. Right, it's a handkerchief sticking out of his back pocket.
Yeah, it's like a blue handkerchief on like fucking dungarees or Levi's or whatever the fuck he's wearing. Like, it's just it's working class. It's cool. Yeah. It's blue collar.
I do remember, dude. This just completely threw me back to when I was a kid, but I was probably like 6th grade. And a friend of the pod, John, his mom really loved Bruce Springsteen, and I don't know why she was talking about music for whatever. She's like, I love Bruce Springsteen. That record cover, oh, his ass is so fucking hot. I love Bruce Springsteen because that album cover, he's so hot. His ass looks so good. She kept talking about his ass on that one picture, and that just instantly brought me back to how she kept talking about it. Like, damn, dude, it's just a picture, dude.
I mean, like, I get it, right? This is. I guess I was the 80s by that point, but that's something, dude.
Kind of provocative a little bit. It was 80s. It was like 84, 83 maybe when that album came out.
Mid 80s, whatever that was.
Yeah, whatever.
Before we were born, before our time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, let's get back to the show. I like shit talking the Ramones. I really do enjoy shit talking the Ramones.
It's been fun. So let's
I like shit talking the Ramones in the sense that like we shit talk the Sex Pistols so much, but now I like the Sex Pistols more than the Ramones, but not musically.
I think comparing this record, Ramones, to Nevermind the Bollocks, I think Nevermind is a better record. Nevermind the Bollocks is a better record. You
take one fucking Desert Island record. You get this or Bollocks. What are you choosing?
Bollocks. I would take
crazy.
Bollocks.
You're crazy.
You're
crazy.
I think the two big songs, God Save the Queen and Anarchy in the UK, I think are objectively better songs than Blitzkrieg and, let's just say, Sniff Some Glue or Beat on the Brat or something like that. I think they're better songs, and I think overall the record is a little bit more varied than Ramones. Because I did go back and listen to Nevermind this week. Nevermind the Bullets.
Varied I'll give you. But if I ask you to hum me like God Save the Queen or Anarchy, I guarantee you won't be able to do it.
I can do it 100%. I'm not going to do it because I'm not good at I'm not good at singing. I'm not good with melodies.
I asked you to sing. I asked you to hum.
I can't even. That's
hum
That's not humming. That's singing. Literally. Yeah, that just sounds stupid. You sound dumb. Sound dumb.
That was also an Aquabat song.
Dude, this is so dumb. What are we talking about?
What are we talking? You're crazy. You're fucking Desert Island. You're choosing the Sex Pistols. Now you're just being
this week.
What you're doing? I know what you're doing here.
But you throw some other Ramones records in there. I'm gonna choose those over Nevermind the Bollocks. Absolutely.
I mean, there are. Well,
there goes your headset. You cannot hear me. Now you can hear me.
There's 5 Ramones records I would choose over Bollocks, but then there's What's 14 minus 5? 9?
9.
There's 9 records that I would not choose over Bollocks.
Okay, that's fair. I would kind of agree.
This is not one of them though. That's silly. That's stupid.
Okay. Whatever.
Come on.
And even still, that Sex Pistols album is not very good. It's really
not even
not
American,
good.
Bro.
No, of course not. Fuck America. Just kidding.
What, did you throw up hand signs or something?
I don't know. I just went like that.
Like
I didn't do like a West Side thing. I didn't do anything.
England. How they do in England? They probably do something stupid like fucking like England.
God, you just those hand gestures. Those are something.
England. I like fucking Britland. Is that a B? Wait.
You're close.
Yeah, no, right there.
Britland. So there we go. Britland. Yeah.
Britland.
Now try to spell like the rest of Britland with the rest.
Not even.
Yeah, you can't do like
this. Is already too wild. This is already way too much.
Isn't that weird? Like how they do like the Bloods thing. I don't even know how they do the Bloods thing with both of their hands. Is that how they do that, dude? You cannot be throwing up those signs. Jesus Christ.
I really can't do the blood thing.
I really hope. I mean, people that might be watching the video on Spotify and YouTube seeing you do that. But anyway, let's get back to this. Beat on the Brat. Let's talk about Beat on the Brat real quick.
This song's dumb, bro. Like this is not a banger for me. This song's tough to get through.
It's my 4B.
I get that it's catchy. I get it, but like, it's not that catchy to bypass how fucking dumb this is.
Yeah. Beat on the Brat. It's very like not David Bowie-esque. Like he's trying to sound like David Bowie when he sings. It's like very. It's too silly, too jokey.
And it's not so much the chorus that gets me. It's the verses. It's the verse because it's just like what can you do? And like that is for sure like Bowie-esque. Like these guys are just, man, you're making pop music, dude. Fuck off. Like that. I don't care if you're making pop music. That's fine. Pop music is great. We all love pop music. Mm-hmm. And I don't care that if you're trying to I don't care that if you're trying to appropriate pop music and make it punk. I don't care. Just fucking call it as it is, baby. Yeah. Right?
That's what this is.
Don't pretend.
That's what this is.
This is pop music. This is boardwalk shit. This is 50s pop.
It really is. It really is.
Piss off then.
I did not realize it until this week. How just really this is boardwalk music is the best way to put it. It's boardwalk music.
Yeah, this is fucking.
That's what it is.
Under the boardwalk. Somebody's into the fucking cover of that.
like at least like Danzig, like when Danzig was going and trying to do something like a Sinatra, like kind of jazzy crooning thing with his voice. Like he was doing that, not great, but well enough to where it gave him his like identity, and then he was putting this like really fucking rad music underneath it all.
And he was doing something so fucking cool with lyrics, Misfits. Like stupid aggressive lyrics.
Which
there's nothing aggressive about this shit. Yeah, there's nothing aggressive about this shit.
I was shocked at how bad the lyrics were on this entire
fucking dumb.
record.
They're embarrassing.
And they're like, oh yeah, we're talking about Nazis, we're talking about this, blah blah blah. We're talking about all this like kind of serious shit throughout the songs. It's like, yeah, you make some Nazi references. That's only because Dee like got his like grimy little hands into Joey's lyrics and was like, well, you should talk about this, and that. But even then, it's just like it's not that. The lyrics are just beyond bad, because what they're doing is they're writing one verse, they're writing one chorus, and then they just repeat those over and over and over and over again. And I get it. That's pop music. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, maybe another verse, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of repetition in punk, but this is like the most repetitive shit I've ever fucking heard. Like this is just terrible fucking lyrics. It's unbelievable.
There was only 2 songs on this record that I thought like had lyrics that were not. I still think they're garbage, but they're not as garbage, I guess. One was like Blitzkrieg Bop because there is like Dee had to put fucking Nazi shit in there, and then the other one was Olner, dude. 53rd and 3rd. That was the only other one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like with Blitzkrieg Bop, that was like saying like the craziness of like the pits and the not slam dancing, but punk dancing of the time. Like it was very kind of crazy and aggressive and kind of violent, comparing that to like the Blitzkrieg, of the 1940s and shit like that. Like that's a not a fun kind of comparison or metaphor, but it's interesting. I hate using the word interesting, but it's interesting.
But here's what also is kind of going back to interestingness of that is that if you're writing a song that is about like kind of sort of like Nazi stuff, it's because maybe your parents, right? Because people were having kids later on in life at that time. So if you're growing up in the 70s, you know, your parents were probably 30 when they had you, 35 when they had you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like your parents actually were in World War II or not that far removed from World War II. And damn, for sure, like in the 50s, like World War II was a hot topic in America, the whole fucking world, right?
Yeah.
Like this was off the coat heels of it. People were still talking about it. It wasn't far removed. And so when you're growing up in the 70s, it's like 74, 73, forming a band, you're talking about these Nazi things. It's not, I get it. It makes sense. It just kind of happened in your mind because your parents are constantly fucking talking about it. And now world leaders are coming up and new people are coming into power. So like it's going to like, well, this is the new Hitler, this is the new this is the new this. So I get it. I understand like the need to embed like Nazi lore into music at the time. So I give you a pass on that.
The right thing to say. Yeah.
But I can't get over the fact that like Dee Dee was so fucking just so far removed from reality when that interview when like his dad had said, do you fucking understand like how many like people that Nazi sword has killed? And he's like, oh, I fucking never respected my dad after that. Like you're fucking stupid.
I know, right? It was so immature. And then to have him being like a grown ass adult and saying that, like, dude, you're like in your 30s at that point. By the time you did that interview, and you're saying that's when I stopped respecting my dad. You know, it's just like, and then not saying like, well, now I kind of understand what he was saying, where he was coming from.
It was just like staunch as like a fucking 12-year-old. And he's like, I started doing drugs when I was 12, and like the whole sniffing glue thing. Like, I hope people don't think we sniff glue. I stopped doing that when I was 12 or 13. Man, fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck off. And like the whole like, annoying. And then like people hate like your boy Johnny because he's a longtime Republican, and that was like a hot topic for the Ramones,
which is so silly. It's like, yeah, Reagan wasn't the greatest, and I get it, like differing views and all that kind of shit. But it, like, isn't that kind of like the more punk thing to do? Like, go against the grain. Like, fuck the liberals, fuck the Democrats. You know, it's just like, it's fun to kind of.
That's the punk thing. Is just
that is
fuck like, you. I'll do what I want to do.
Exactly.
If this is what I believe, then fuck off.
Or even if I don't believe it. Fuck you anyway. It's like we saw Guttermouth in 2003, 2004 when they got kicked off of Warped Tour because they were making fun of everybody else because everybody was like, you know, rock against Bush, and like, you know what, fuck, Bush is great. Fuck you guys. Bush is great. I support the war. I support this just as like a fuck you to you. Like, don't tell me what to fucking do. I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want to do. That's what Guttermouth did. And then they got kicked off of Warped Tour. I mean, probably for other reasons too.
Booted from Warped Tour. Well, because they also are making fun of like the big acts. They're making fun of Bad Religion. They're making fun of NoFX. Like, oh, a bunch of fucking posers. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, which is so great too. Fucking love.
But like he does it with a smile. He's like laughing and giggling the whole time. Like, oh, dude, Guttermouth is the most punk band that's ever fucking existed.
How can you take Mark Atkins seriously? Like he fucking wrote, you know, Lucky the Donkey. Like, how can you take him seriously when he writes Lucky the Donkey? I don't know.
Damn.
Just saying.
Yeah, no. So it's I know what we're talking about to get to here, but 53rd and Third was the other song that I thought was I don't want to say like deep or anything, but it wasn't just garbage.
It was a little bit more eye opening. It was about Dee Dee's drug use to the point where he was, you know,
he's a hooker.
He was hooking. He was out hooking.
He's hooking, turning tricks, baby.
Turning tricks on 53rd and 3rd.
Love it.
You know, just to score some dope, score some heroin.
Men can turn tricks too.
They can. Oh, fuck. I mean, he did it. We see this right here in 1976. He was doing that. He was out hooking. Okay. So that's. I mean, in 1976, that's pretty gnarly. Like a pretty gnarly thing to put out there, to put on a record, talking about it. So
he was terrified. He thought I don't know. I don't remember if it was Johnny or Joey, but he was scared to admit that it was actually him that was like actually turning tricks, not just about someone he knew, because he thought the guys in the band would kick him out.
Well, I mean, yeah, being gay at this time, that was nobody. Like, I mean, that was a big no-no, no matter what scene you were in. Like, even the punk scene was a little bit more open to all of, you know, being, you know, homosexuality and all that kind of stuff. but even still,
not that open.
Not that
they were
open.
not that open.
Not turning tricks that open. No.
I think the fucking world was that open. Nobody was that open. And
No.
I think like until like probably like the 80s, right? The whole Freddie Mercury thing. I think that's when things
That's
probably
that was
cooled a little bit.
That was a big turning point because
the AIDS epidemic and
that was a big turning point. It was when Freddie Mercury came out. Yeah, 1976. Come on. I mean, there were a lot of like rumors with David Bowie and like, you know, him having sex with little boys and shit like that.
I'm sure he fucking did, but
he probably did. But you know what I mean?
Weirdo.
Like, there was a lot of shit like that. But yeah, I get the hesitation to put out a song like this. But anyway, 53rd and 3rd. Also, the song Havana Affair. I don't think the lyrics are too deep, but it was something very different from the rest of the record lyrically. I mean, it talks about, you know, some poor guy from Cuba, you know, picking bananas, and then he gets hired by this.
Is picking bananas fucking funny to you?
Well, it's just like you pick like I just the way Joey describes it in the song, it just sounds very demeaning, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing? But also, it's like it talks about like, you know, he's picking bananas in Cuba. He gets hired by the CIA to start smuggling drugs, and it's just like you're talking about sniffing glue to the CIA, like smuggling drugs. Like the jump between the two subjects is just, it's unreal. Like you get stupid songs like Sniff Glue, Chainsaw, I Want to Be Your Boyfriend, stupid love songs, boring.
That's the
songs.
worst song on the fucking records. I Want to Be Your Boyfriend, absolutely the fucking worst.
It is pretty bad. But then hate that song. Jumping to a song like Havana Affair, talking about the CIA and drug smuggling, to turning tricks on the corner with Marky, or not Marky, but with Dee Dee in 53rd and 3rd. It's just the jumping around on this record. It's just like
there's no identity.
It's one extreme to the other. There's no in between.
But I get it, right? This is like, again, I'm giving credit for like the birth of like punk rock here. We're tackling a lot of things at once, and I get that. So I'll give you a little bit of a pass. It's just man, you guys could have been so much better than this, and this is bad. You could have the same exact music, just lyrically, you could have just done a little bit things different. Like, I Want to Be Your Boyfriend. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This is the kind of shit that you see like on fucking movies that are about like the 50s, and this is on the soundtrack because it's so fucking cheesy. Let's Dance, same thing.
I think what a lot of the problem, I mean, not only Johnny being like the big problem with all of this, but I think the problem is that like Dee Dee wanted like straight, like more harder music, like deeper lyrics, hard, like just more.
But he sucked at singing, so he had to take a back seat.
But then Joey only wanted to do pop stuff. Joey only wanted to do 1950s, early 60s like pop stuff. That's all he wanted to do. But there was never a collaboration between the two elements. It was like you get 2 Dee Dee songs, you get 2 Joey songs. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There was never, like, not only just on this record, but every record up through Adios Amigos. You know, it's just like there's never a true collaboration. It's like up through Adios, you know, you got CJ writing 5 songs on there. They're vastly different than the Joey songs, vastly different than the couple Dee Dee songs on that record. It's just like there was no point where these guys actually collaborated and did something really cool where they combined their influence into a single song. It was just like there was nothing cohesive about any of these records. It was just like, okay, this is a Joey song. Yeah, this is a pop song. This is cool for what it is. But this is a Dee Dee song, hardcore fucking punk, hardcore metal, or like just a metal song, like on like the 80s.
That's a good point. I like that. I like
nothing collaborative. It's annoying. It's stupid.
Look how big that finger is. You see that finger? It's fucking huge.
It's a stupid finger.
I like where your head's at because Dee Dee is a phenomenal songwriter. Mm-hmm. Just straight up, he's a phenomenal songwriter, but a garbage singer.
Terrible singer.
Beyond garbage. He's worse than me, maybe. Possibly. I don't know. Maybe not.
Worse than who?
Than you.
Oh, yeah. I'm a terrible singer, yeah.
But like Joey is the opposite, right? Like he's a decent singer.
Decent punk singer.
Decent singer, decent songwriter. But like Dee Dee, like you guys could have just gotten together and be like, hey dude, here's where like the band should be going in the vein where I'm writing these songs. I can't sing them, so I want you to sing them. And like Joey could have been like, oh yeah, dude, like I get it. we could be a really cool punk band because I am a better singer than you and I can get us to a wider audience. But it's like Dee Dee wrote songs and wanted them to be in the vein of X, and then Joey sang them in Y.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it's like, dude, that's not what I fucking told you to do. And then that was it.
But also, like, when you look at like the 80s and 90s Ramones stuff, Joey would actually write some aggressive songs. He would write some aggressive songs, and he would change his voice. Like, he would become this like kind of hardcore singer, this kind of not Henry Rollins thing, but just definitely a much grittier and things like that. But he never. But just it's like, why don't you use that for the Dee Dee songs? Like, it was weird. Like they just, there was always this clash, always this separation between the two of them, and it's a real shame. Like, it could have been like if they really kind of like buckled down and they didn't have Johnny fucking look. Honestly, it's Johnny. It has to be Johnny because all Johnny ever fucking did from the beginning up through Adios Amigos was that he didn't like Joey. He didn't like Joey's writing. Like, he constantly bitched about Joey's writing. So had Johnny not been there, I feel like Dee Dee and Joey would have had a better relationship. They would have had a better songwriting collaboration. Like, it just, Johnny was the bad apple. Like, he was the bad person from this band. He fucking ruined. Musically, he
makes sense, right? Because like Johnny and Tommy were the ones that essentially like started the Ramones. They were the two people that knew each other, and then Dee Dee came in from Germany, and then they finally got Joey joined as the drummer, and then and then their original singer just didn't cut, or Dee Dee just kind of didn't cut it, and then so Joey became the singer, and then they hired Tommy as the drummer. Yeah, but Dee
Dee couldn't handle the vocals.
But Tommy, God, their names are so fucking dumb. But Tommy and Johnny already knew each other. They were the ones that started this band. And Joey, I keep looking up because that's how you remember stuff.
Yeah.
But Joey was already in another band.
In heaven. He's up there in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's up there. But who gives a fuck, man? I don't care. It's just, if these guys were homies, like...
They weren't homies. Is what it is. That's the thing. They weren't homies. They hated each other.
If these guys were homies to begin with, and not just like a band who says, "Hey, we have common interests. We should form a band, and then maybe we can make a business out of this." That's what it seemed like. But they could just never hammer down the details. If they were like homies and could just write music together and be okay with sharing credits from the beginning, or did like the Queen thing, right? Or like a lot of other bands do. Let's just credit the entire song to just the band, and then we'll figure out it later, and we'll just split it up evenly. And then these were just homies before, but they weren't. They were fucking monsters. They're all monsters. This band sucks. I feel like we're going to wrap up here.
I know. I was just going to say, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap up this episode. Let's rank the record. Or rate the record based off of our world famous 3-point rating system, where 3 is a perfect album, 2 is a good album you're going to continue to listen to, 1 is a bad album to give it a shot, and 0 is the worst thing you've ever heard. So what do you got? Go.
If these guys were homies like beforehand and then did all this stuff, and they're because they're paving roads that are non-existent at this point. They are doing things that have never been done, and they're what do you call them? Like trailblazers? They're trailblazers. Like the Chevy, the Chevy SUV or the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
You know, if they were just homies, I think this could have worked a lot better. But they're just a bunch of dickheads. They were dickheads as kids. They were dickheads as teenagers, and they're dickheads as 25-year-olds. They're going to be dickheads and Adios Amigos at 50-year-olds. So, man, fuck all these guys. Who cares? This band is extremely, maybe like the most overrated band we've ever done on the podcast.
They're up there. Yeah, they're up there.
But fuck, man, they are necessary. Their first record was very necessary.
Yeah, it was.
Their aesthetic was very necessary. And like, it would have been cool. It would have been cool to read like a story, right? Where like, oh, the Ramones started and they gave like Bad Brains their first fucking gig because like nobody would book an all black punk band. So the Ramones like, yeah, you can open up for us. That would have been a fucking cool read, right? Mm-hmm. Like, damn, that would have been dope. But like, no, dude, these guys are fucking assholes. They fucking hated everybody. They hated everybody they opened for. They hated everybody that fucking opened for them. They thought they were fucking God's gift to earth from day one, and they were garbage. Everything about this band is absolute garbage, but I respect them because they were kind of the first ones to do it. So I give them that. Objectively, this record fucking a one. Like, well, really? Like a one? Like I'm not gonna fucking listen to this shit. I playlist Judy, but that is it, man. That is it. I don't really like Blitzkrieg. I think it's annoying. It's fun. I'll sing it at a bar if I'm drunk, but I would never ever listen to that shit on my off time. Aesthetically, if I did like a subjective kind of ranking, I guess like maybe I'd give them a higher score, but like I don't even want to do that because this is old guy music. This is old guy music that thinks like they're still punk, but really you're just a fucking old washed up fucking has been. So piss off. Ramones, I give you a 1, baby boy.
1 out of 3. Also, speaking of rankings, this album has a perfect score amongst
of course
amongst everything. A+,
everybody.
5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 stars. You know, up and down the board. It's perfect, and I get it.
Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, so I've seen people like say this is one of the greatest albums of all time. Like, really, bro? Like, of all the albums that have ever come out ever in the history of mankind, you're putting this up there in like top 5, top 10 records that humans have made. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Like,
I
understand they kind of brought in like a new genre of music and all that, but I mean, they were still terrible musicians, and there were bands that were bad musicians but still put out way better fucking songs. Like we said,
there are bands that did this before them, and there are bands that did this after them.
Exactly.
They weren't the first ones. They were just the first ones that kind of like mainstream this entire aesthetic.
Yes.
And that's why they got a 1. I was being generous with the fucking 1.
The 1.
That was
honestly, yeah. The Ramones, they God damn, dude. I'm just gonna be repeating myself, but they're just they were doing something revolutionary because they were doing something that was not it was something that was sloppy. They weren't good songwriters. They were just doing something very mediocre, but they were doing it in a very kind of like dirty, gross, grimy way, coming out of New York. New York in the 1970s was gross. Like it was violent. It was gross, very, extremely dangerous. You know, New York in the 70s was gnarly. And to essentially have a residency at CBGB's, you're playing there 200 nights a year. You know, it's just like,
but it wasn't that bad for white people though. So like,
oh no, that's true too. Yeah. It wasn't.
We talked about hip hop. We did hip hop season, right?
We did.
That was awful.
You know, New York for Black people, Hispanic people too. You know, people. You know, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. You know, it's just like
anybody but white. New York was on fire for like 2 years.
New York was white. I mean, look at what was it? Was the blackout? Was the blackout in the 70s? That massive blackout. Like that shit was.
It was on fire and then blackout. For,
I
don't know, millions, but like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, for a lot of people. But anyway, yeah. So like, just Ramones. It's like white people thinking that, you know, this is edgy, this is hardcore, this is that, blah blah blah. You know, I'm a 12-year-old kid. You know, I'm rebelling against my parents. I'm going to listen to the Ramones because they have heavy distorted guitars. But it's really no different than the boardwalk. What was it? Boardwalk pop? What did you call it? The boardwalk sound?
Just like boardwalk music. Yeah,
yeah, boardwalk music. It's like that's what it is with distorted guitars. That's really what this is. It's good. It's fun. It has it's a time and a place. If you didn't grow up in it, you're not going to really like it. And then even going back to when we were in high school in the early 2000s, 2001 to 05, that was when we were in high school. I never knew anybody who liked the Ramones. I never talked to anybody who liked the Ramones. They liked bands that came out of the Ramones, the Clash, the Sex Pistols, Misfits, Black Flag, Gorilla Biscuits. You know, as time went on, into the skate punk, all that kind of shit. It was just like, but nobody ever liked Ramones. It was always everybody else but the Ramones. But Ramones were the gateway band into punk, which is also probably why they've transcended generations, because they are the gateway. They are the safe band.
Because they're pop fucking music.
They are pop
music.
It's
so easy to get into fucking punk music when there's pop.
Yeah, and the lyrics mean nothing. Essentially, the lyrics mean nothing. The music is so.
I I like 18 Visions because I heard fucking Sheena is a punk rocker when I was 10. Like, of course, everybody would fucking say that, right? Like, it's so easy.
18 Visions fucking comparison.
Because 18 Visions is based off of punk music, which is based off of the Ramones. Like, this is a timeline. It's a time. You keep up, kid. You keep up.
I know what you're saying, but it was still a weird...
But for someone to say,
comparison.
I was trying to, like, compare it to your personal life, but, like, fuck, that flew over your head.
No, it didn't fly over my head.
Say, like, I like Throwdown. I like Throwdown because I heard fucking Blitzkrieg Bop when I was 8 years old. It's like, of course, dude. Like, everybody likes aggressive music when they're introduced to pop music as a child. So the kids that listen to Taylor Swift now are going to fucking love whatever the fuck is going to come out in the next 20 years because pop music is so easy to get into, easily digestible.
So with that being said, I'm going to give this record a 1.25. I'll give it a 1.25 out of 3 because I don't think it's that good of a record, but I understand its importance.
Dirty.
I understand its importance, and also if the record were to come on, once again, a little less than 30 minutes long. If it's going to go on, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm not going to be pissed about it.
And I can be happy though.
But it's just like, oh, this is fun. Like
you're gonna be checking that watch. I'll be checking that watch after like track 5. I'm like, how much?
But it's like depending on the crowd you're with, you can kind of chit chat with them. Like, oh, this is a good song. What do you think about this? You know, depending on the crowd, obviously.
So yeah, like nitpick like who you're with, where you're at, what's going on. Like a good record is a good record through and through.
But also, it's like if this record were to come on, I'd rather listen to this than a large number of bands or artists. You know, it's just like I'm not going to be mad if this record comes on.
I'd rather listen to nothing than this.
But in the end,
I'd rather just sit in silence and listen to this.
In the end, I
really would.
In the end, it's not an unpleasant experience listening to this record. So I'm going to give it a 1.25 out of 3. That's all I got for that one. So
that's all it deserves. You were generous today.
Thank you all for listening. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. We're still in punk season. We're continuing the punk season. I think we've added at least 2 weeks. We've added at least 2 weeks to punk season. So we got the next 3 weeks. Because we were gonna end with, I'll spoil it. We're gonna end with Death, but we decided to add a couple more bands to punk season. So in the end, we're gonna end up with Death. So thank you all for listening. That's it. That's all.
Very generous tonight. You woke up on the right side of the bed, I guess.
German.